the present continuous form or present progressive. We use the present continuous or the present progressive to indicate that an action or an activity is in progress. So it means that you could use keywords such as now, for the time being, or meanwhile to describe your activity. It could also be used to describe an activity or an action that will occur in the near future. In that case, I could use keywords such as today, this week, or this year. When you are conjugating the present continuous, there are some spelling rules that you have to be careful about. Example, I have a short verb, so it means one syllable verb. Example, hit or stop. This very short verb ends with a single consonant, example, the T or the P. It is preceded by a single vowel, so example, the I or the O. Single, that's important. In that case, what you will do is that you will double your consonant before adding the ing. The second spelling rule is when you have a verb that ends in E, you will drop it before adding the ing at the end. Now, to conjugate in the affirmative form, here's the word order. Your subject comes first, and then you will have to conjugate the auxiliary to be according to the subject. Then your main action verb will end in ing. And then, if necessary, you have the object at the end of the sentence. Example, I, subject, I'm, verb to be, working, action verb ending in ing, on my school project, object. Or you could use the contracted form. In that case, you will contract the pronoun and the auxiliary, I'm, then my action verb, working, ending with ing, on my school project, that's my object. So to use the contracted form, it's like conjugating the verb to be simple present. So I am becomes I'm, you are becomes your, he is, he's, she is, she's, it is, it's, we are, we're, and they are, they're. For the negative form, you only have to make one change, and that's your keyword here, not. So you will find your subject, once again the auxiliary and the subject agree. You add not because we're working with the negative, of course. Your main verb always ends with ing and then the object. Example, Mona is my subject. Is my auxiliary that agrees with my subject, Mona, third person singular. Not, negative form, and paying is my main verb in ing. Attention will be the object. You could always use the contracted form. In that case, you would use the pronoun she's, contraction, not, negative form, paying, ing, my action verb, attention, the object. There are two ways to conjugate with the negative form using contractions, except for I'm not. This one is different. There's only one way to write it. I'm plus the keyword not. All the other ones, you will have the two ways. You could use the non-contracted form, or if you decide to use the contracted form, you could contract the pronoun and the verb and add not, or you could keep your pronoun and contract the verb and not. You're not or you aren't. In the third person singular, you will find the same thing, except that you have to use is. So she's not, he's not, or it's not. Or the other way, you keep your pronoun and you contract is and not. Isn't, isn't. For the other persons, it's the same thing. It's always are. So we're not, we aren't. They're not, they aren't. Now for the interrogative form, you have to remember that there are three forms of questions. Yes/no questions, tag questions, information questions. Let's start with yes/no questions. So here's what you have to do. You remember we need an auxiliary to be. It will come first if you ask a question, and then you will find your subject. But the two of them still have to agree. Then you will find your main verb that ends with ing, the object, and of course it's a question, so the question mark. If you want to answer, you use a short answer. So you will use yes or no. You will change the subject for the corresponding pronoun. In the affirmative form, you use your auxiliary that agrees with the pronoun. And if the answer is negative, you still use your auxiliary, but you add your keyword not. Example, is, auxiliary to be, Sandra, so the two of them work together, agree together. Working, that's my main verb in ing. Tonight, that's my object. Is Sandra working tonight? I answer. It could be yes, it could be no, but I have to remember to use the pronoun instead of the subject, and then my auxiliary that agrees with this pronoun. Yes, she is, or no, negative, she is, same thing, but I add not. For the tag questions, you have to remember that there are short questions that are placed at the end of your sentence. And they're used to confirm something that you know, you believe is true, and you want to be certain that you understand or something. So, here's the basic pattern that you have to follow. You will write your sentence and then add your tag auxiliary. Use the pronoun that was used in your sentence. So, if I used a subject, such as a proper name example at the beginning of the sentence, I have to change this subject for the pronoun. Or example, if I say, he is listening to me, I will add the tag at the end. That's my tag question. I have to remember that when the sentence is affirmative, like in this example, then the tag here is negative. He is listening to me, isn't he? And it's better to use the contracted form. Then I answer the same way that I answer a short question, a yes/no question with a short answer. So yes or no, pronoun auxiliary. Yes, he is. No, pronoun negative auxiliary. No, he isn't. In the second example, It's the same thing. So my sentence is affirmative, so my tag is negative, except that I worked with the third person plural, so my auxiliary agrees with my subject. They are working on this project later, aren't they? Yes, they are. No, they aren't. If my sentence would have been negative, example, they are not working on this project later, my tag would have been affirmative. They are not working on this project later, are they? And then I can answer affirmative or negative, it doesn't matter. Now, finally, for the information questions, it's the same thing as a yes-no question, except that at the beginning of the question, you will add a question word. This question word will be very important because this time you want more than a yes-no answer. You want a more precise answer. So here's what you have to do. You place your question word at the beginning of the question. That is the information you want to get. And then it's exactly the same as for the yes-no question. You will find your auxiliary to be. That agrees with your subject. And then the main verb in ing and the object. Example, if I say when, it means that I'm looking for a time. So that's the answer I want to get. When are auxiliary, subject you, action verb studying for this exam object, and then I will answer with a complete sentence, either affirmative or negative. I was looking for time. Here's my answer, right after lunch. When are you studying for this exam? I, subject, auxiliary, action verb in ing. I'm studying for what? For this exam. When I answer my question right after lunch.